Jen Ruelens, if for whatever reason you haven't heard of her, is an absolute frame breaker. She's a powerhouse in the content creation game right now, is teaching other property managers how to do it at different NARPM events. And I really wanted to get on with her because in trying to help her figure out her speech at NARPM Broker Owner and a couple of other places she's gone, I realized that her content creation strategy is perfect for beginners. So if you're trying to get better at using video content, right? Like if you're trying to like grow, you know you have to do it, right? Like you know you have to differentiate yourself against other property managers, but you're having a hard time kind of getting started. I think that her framework is perfect and her why is huge. She's out there evangelizing the asset class, which is I think something you need to be doing. So you're gonna really, really enjoy it. And then, by the end of it, we're friends, right? So we end up getting into some like deep stuff at the end and stuff like that. But I think you're really, really going to enjoy this conversation, get a ton of value out of getting started on video content for leverage, not just for marketing, but inside of your operation with Jen Ruelens. Enjoy. Welcome to the Property Management Frame Breakers podcast. I'm your host, Pablo Gonzalez, and I am here to introduce you to the folks in the property management space that have broken the frame of what you may believe was possible. This podcast is presented by Vendoroo. It is your all-in-one AI solution for resolving your maintenance needs. Let's go. I haven't had you on the show because in my head, you were like one of the first few people I wanted to have on the show. And I was like, well, I'm going to fly to Pennsylvania and I'm going to meet with you in person. And then now here we are, a stupid year later. I haven't done it. And I'm like, I'm not going to finish 2025 without having you on here because I'm kind of obsessed with you, Jen.
Thank you for saying that. You are an inspiration to me and a force of nature in this industry. And I love talking to you because you let me get away with anything. You like amp me up. You're like, oh, you're on fire. Here's some lighter fluid. And I love that. I love egging on others and I love to be egged on.
Literally the biggest compliment you could ever give. Right. I just call me the egger. I refer to it as a hype man, but like I think Pablo the Egger sounds a lot better.
Yeah, you're a yes and guy.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. And all right, so I was going to bring you on. I think we should definitely talk about like content and how you do things and all that good stuff. You said let's talk about what you're pissed off about. Let's talk about what you're pissed off about, Jen.
I'm so pissed. Yeah. I am so pissed, Pablo. So I'm in this world. I'm creating content for investors and I'm learning a lot about what works and what takes off and what gets viewers and attention. And I'm very alienated by it. And I'm alienated by what gets attention because it's bullshit. I won't underspeak it. It is lies. It is schemes and it is people who are trying to take advantage of investors. And we think about this and we go, oh, it's that dude who's like got Lambos and Rolexes in his videos talking about how 5 years ago and now he's X, Y, and Z. Yes, that guy's a piece of shit schemer and he belongs in that bucket. Okay, but here's the crime. The whole real estate industry, every real estate professional, the entire compensation system works against the buy and hold investor. So if I'm Pablo and I want to build a real estate portfolio, I'm going to get a team. I might hire a great broker, work with a lender. I might work with an advisor on these sorts of things. I've, of course, got my accountant, my property manager, whatever. But in the real estate world, which of those people is actually compensated along with you? Like as their advice gets you success, and you get earnings, they also get earnings. And in buy and hold, we're getting rich slow. So your advisors should be getting rich slow right alongside you. But think about it. Who among those people is getting paid alongside you and not one big fat check when you execute a transaction? And I get very frustrated by that. Because I'm cleaning up these messes in these streets that these dumb ass pros are giving these investors, making big fat checks, and then acting like it's not their responsibility. They're not culpable. And you know what they actually do? They make twice as much. Because if they sell you, an inexperienced investor, an asset you're unprepared for or with the wrong anticipation or whatever, when in 3 years you're really frustrated by it and it's giving you those KTAs, right? I love KTAs because those are freaking real. Kitchen table arguments. That's Pablo's trademark phrase, right? They're going to call that same realtor to list it again. And that realtor thinks they're doing a great freaking job because they just got repeat business. When that is not the client's goal. The client did not buy that to experience the transaction costs again. And these transaction costs are all very blurry, right? Because we've got cooperative compensation, which isn't for your show, but bullshit. And all of that mixed up on this HUD. And I look at regular investors, Hold It with PM Jen is all about real people, real wealth, real estate, right? And the real people do not understand this, and they're trusting their agents, their lenders, these people to give them great advice. And I think those people are like a hammer who sees every problem as a nail. Sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it. And I hate it. I hate it. And I don't know why property managers aren't more famous and revered and treasured.
First of all, Jen, I think what you just did is evangelize a point of view, right? Like, and that to me is I'm obviously going to validate it, right? Like we're obviously talking to property managers. They know what you're talking about, but this idea, alignment of incentives and railing against the unfairness of like the incentives and how they are aligned, how they're misaligned, not for you, but for your client, right? Like this idea that there is some folks in this world where the real estate investor is trying to make long-term wealth and create a different type of retirement and maybe like quit their job and do all this other cool stuff. There is short-term actors and long-term actors. The short-term actors have a much bigger carrot, a much faster, bigger carrot. And they're also the ones that are, let's just face it, the flashiest, loudest, kind of like most douchey in general, right?
Yeah.
And it's frustrating, whether it is the Grant Cardones of the world, or whether it is the real estate agent down the street who lives off of their selfies and they're like, and the stuff that they're doing that get paid off this transaction cost that happens on like a one night stand, as opposed to the person that the real estate investor really counts on to boo up with for a long time, which is your property manager whose incentives are aligned with yours sometimes, right? Like I think there is different ways of aligning incentives in property management, right? Like tell me how you make your money and I'll tell you how much you're on my side. And what you are talking about, to me, I'm extrapolating this into one of the big reasons I want to talk to you, because most property managers don't make content about that stuff. They make content about like their property management company or whatever, but railing against a common enemy and painting a vision of like why the world is so messed up for your client, with your client as the hero that's experiencing a problem, and like you're not the hero but you're the lightsaber to that problem, is the way to make content. And you have operationalized this brilliantly, because the moment I saw you make, like when I met you in Broker Owner and you're like, oh my God, I love you guys, I'm so funny, and I'm like yeah, she belongs on content, right? Like, but some people see that and they'll be like, yeah, cool, of course, she's got a big personality, she's funny, she's cool. But what you do really well is talking about the benefit of your market and like cash flow and all this other stuff. Like you immediately were like evangelizing more than just you and a bigger problem, right? So like that's a great start to this podcast. What have you learned that you can do about it, right? So like you're pissed off at this like incentive structure and these like real estate agents kind of like acting badly, not in favor of them. Where's your head at as far as like what the industry needs to do and what you've been able to do, or do you think you're making any kind of headway? Tell me more.
Well, that's a really interesting question, because as you were talking about the value of what I'm doing in this common enemy and the content strategy, I'm like, he's making me sound like an evil genius when I'm just pissed. Like I'm just having day to day and I'm like railing to my coworkers, and I finally started turning the camera on myself. So what do I think I can do? Well, I am gifted, you're right, in that I have a big mouth, I'm pretty fearless, and I'm smart with a quick wit. Okay, those are the strengths in my bucket. Believe me, I got weaknesses. And I got the credibility and the longevity of this business. So I'm not going to come down on every property manager. If you're new and growing your business, it's going to feel really risky to say like fucking realtors on the internet. Like, and I didn't do it in the beginning. I come to this from a position of security. I will eat until I'm old. I know that because of what I've built for myself. So now I'm taking some risks, and I'm getting more calculated over time because I'm gaining some attention. And that is the thing that's been most difficult, right? So I think if I come out here and I'm sharing these viewpoints that I think are very valid and many people would understand, and I'm trying to give you some strategies to work with them, right? The answer is not work with realtors or to never sell a property. I'm not crazy, but we need to work with the right ones. We need to be critical, all those things.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the problem I'm seeing is the attention economy does not reward unsexy stuff like hard work, discipline, and long-term thinking. It rewards short-term, which is why the guy with the Lambo in the videos, and why does every video start with, I was talking to a billionaire the other day and you know what he said? And I'd be like, I'd pay you $5 to never freaking tell me what another billionaire said. I don't care. I don't admire those people. And then, well, I'm a multimillionaire real estate investor. Well, me too. Like, it's actually not that big of a deal to have multi-millions in real estate. And so I find that attention economy, and I'm working now with like content strategists and some people who are helping me kind of elevate this. I'm railing against it. I'm really buffing up, and they're trying to teach me how I can sex up my message to get some attention so I can get. So anyway, that's the dilemma. I'm in it. I'm in the thick of it. I'm figuring it out. I'm managing 600 doors and trying to become famous and influential so I can leave a legacy in my society for women, because women need real estate. Because when you invest in women and you invest in communities, they're better at real estate, risk assessment, problem solving. They're just superior. Sorry. And real estate needs women even more. We have a problem in this industry. It's bad, Pablo. You know, it's schemy, it's sucky. We've got the DOJ coming down on our compensation structure. We don't trust property managers or realtors. We openly disparage them, me included. We have a perception problem. There are not enough good realtors and property managers out there. Okay. Women, if they took on these roles, I think would have a more holistic long-term view of their behavior and their investments. And I think they could do this better. So yes, TikTok has radicalized me into misandry. And now that is where I land in the, I really do think though, that empowering women in this though is a really good move to make for the industry, for society, and not to the disadvantage of men. Lord knows we never want to take a thing from a man, but we do want to allow the women just a little bit more of a door in for those who want in.
I want to have that conversation around women. I want to go there a little bit later in this conversation, right? Like I literally just did Stacy's podcast and we ended up having a big feminist conversation at like the last 10, 15 minutes also. Okay. So now we know what the prize is. I like starting podcasts, not like, how'd you get there? But kind of like, what's at stake, right? Like, what are we talking about? And punching people in the face with energy like you just did.
Yeah.
Or in the ear, most likely.
In the heart.
Just in the right the heart, and then reverse engineering, kind of like, all right, cool. Let's back up the truck and talk about how we get here. And you said something that really stuck out to me a second ago. You get to do this from a position of privilege because you are well established at this point, and this might not be the exact strategy for like the novice property manager. I do think that there is a content strategy out there for the novice property manager that they should be employing by like operationalizing it in their day. So what I would love to, before we get into the strategy of kind of like finding a common villain, talk to me. I think the stuff that you've spoken about, like at NARPM Nationals, of overcoming just like the fear of camera and building a habit out of it, I think is super, super valuable. So tell me a little bit about how you talk to other property managers about getting started making content, like getting out of your own head to do it.
Yeah. When they come to me and go, gosh, you're doing great things here. Can you talk to me? Great. I'll talk to you. And I go, are you making any videos now? And usually it's no. And I start with like, okay, so are you even doing like listing videos? Like, hey, this property's for rent. You do a video. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. And I do the same thing with inspections, because here's the thing. Video is what I'm working on now, strategizing my idea and my impact and all of that. But a lot of it is like, how do I frame it? How do I hit record? How do I not lose it? How do I upload, download, send it? Like all that stuff. And so for regular property managers who are like me, who want to build this Think about this as a long-term strategy. You're familiar with long-term, you're in buy and hold too, right? And start with your operations. Because I think when you see what I do, you're thinking, oh, she's doing business development. She's out there. And I am, but believe me, video is playing a huge role in my business. We're avoiding repetitive conversations. We're enforcing boundaries and policies. We're making it easier, less friction for people to do business with us with video. And that's where I want you to start. So property managers, start finding ways to incorporate video. There are a lot of ways you can do this, but I love one-to-one videos. I love using them for explainers. I love, like, the one I talk about, I get the most on how to get your full security deposit refund when you move out. So you gave me a notice, you get the paperwork you need to get, the documents, and you get this video. And it answers the big question you have. How am I going to get my $1,500 back from these people? How hard is that going to be? And so once you've incorporated it into operations, first of all, your team will love this. And the bar isn't high, guys. You don't need a studio. You don't need professionals. You don't need your iPhone or even your Samsung or whatever is fine. Fine. Then I talk to them about taking and being braver. And so here's the thing. Your first 100 videos are going to suck, which is why I want them to use them in operation because they're still valuable. Nobody cares. The one I made about what is a preventive maintenance visit, we're still using it. It's in like 3 offices ago. It's dim as anything. It communicates authentically, cheerfully what I want them to know. It's not great production value. So the first 100 videos are going to suck. When you start getting a little bit better at, like, I have a thought, I'm going to record, I'm going to make it cheerful and consistent. And now I know how to record. So if I need to edit, I can edit, right? That's when you're ready to start making more public facing videos. And great things are like reactions and responses to news and trends. So Jay Parsons just put out something about rent control. Let's have a chat about it, right? And
before we go to outward facing video, let's just like double click real quick on right here, right? So this is something genius that I feel when I heard it, you know, like when you have that like feeling of like a non-obvious insight that feels so true. That happened to me when I heard you talking about this piece of it, right? Like because the idea of you need to develop like the muscle memory skill set of like the weird douchiness that feels like when you talk to a camera without another person in front of it is very, very real. It's like, it's super, super like handbrake on everything, on every great idea that you have that you want to share.
Yep.
And taking the burden off of, okay, what, right? Like building in a habit that allows you to develop that while taking away the biggest friction of it, to me is really smart, right? So when you say one-on-one videos, I'm imagining, hey, that email, that 30-minute meeting that could have been an email can also be a video message that you send to somebody, no problem, right? Like, and that starts to save you some time. It's a rep also, right? So that feels
it's
really,
a rep.
It's a rep.
Right? I had an idea. I recorded that idea clearly and I sent it to another to be delivered.
To one person, one-to-one, no press. You don't care about like what your grandmother's going to say on TikTok. Not that grandmother's on TikTok. That's the wrong analogy.
Yeah. So there's a lot of people who get anxiety at the idea of video. And so the prescription is use it in operations and just get in reps. So I say, start FaceTiming with friends and family, start sending video texts, start. And because here's the thing. You know this, you start making content. All of a sudden you're looking at your face, you're hearing your voice, and you've never done that before this way. You're seeing all your weird little micro expressions and it gets you in your gut and it starts feeling. But if you've ever had OCD, if you ever had the pleasure of having it, and I have, you know, and did a little exposure therapy, it's just like that. Like you have to expose yourself to that anxiety, feel the heart rate rise and live through it and realize there's no tigers eating me right now. I'm okay. My central nervous system is saying something's dangerous, but there is nothing dangerous here. I recorded a 2-minute message to my friend Pablo. I rewatched it. Nothing weird happened. I didn't take my top off or cuss his mother. Nothing. No, all those intrusive thoughts. You know, what did I do? And I sent it. And I'll tell you, you start sending these, you start using them. The reaction you get because nobody else is doing it is very motivational to keep it going.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's another piece, right? Like most people are making content and throwing it into a vacuum and like waiting for an echo, where like if you're just making a video to send to your friend or send to like a new friend or a business acquaintance, people are like, oh my God, I should use more videos. You're like, oh my God, positive feedback loop. This feels good, right? Like it feels good on the nervous system. It starts getting you into that, right? So I love that piece
Yeah.
of start using it interpersonally, because this idea of like how you can communicate, it's just working on the communication skill set, which is good for everybody, right? So like
It really
the
is.
one-on-one videos as responses to people, as like just met somebody at a conference and I just want to say I like them, like and follow up with them, like when you're at the airport about to fly home, just shoot a video, be like, hey dude, it was so great talking to you, sending that, you'll start getting really good feedback loops. Then the other good feedback loop is that idea of, okay, what is the thing that so that's one to one. Then there's one to few, right? Like what's that thing that people ask me about often that I just want to answer one time and have a library of? It's a nice level up graduation of, now
Right.
we're talking about ops, right? Now it's not just like one-on-one relationships. Now it's also a little bit of leverage around ops. Like I've never heard anybody kind of like explain that journey that way. And I find that really,
Mhm.
really brilliant. So I just wanted to highlight that because I think that that's
Thank you.
really, really good way before you start worrying about how many views I get on YouTube or Facebook.
I'm still not, I mean, I guess I am starting to get worried about my views on YouTube, but I've been
Yeah.
making videos for 6 years and
Yeah.
I only care about views on YouTube right now because I'm trying to grow something larger than the one focus property management business. I don't need a YouTube strategist. I don't need anything like that channel, my work to just do business development for my company. You don't need any help. I'm doubling down in all of this because I have a bigger vision. But I'll
Mhm.
tell you, like, okay, so let's move into the sales and like even just like how those videos might
Yeah.
promote leads.
Yeah.
The number one thing, like more than just more leads,
Mhm.
warmer, hot leads.
Yes.
And it matures your leads so much faster. So there's
Mhm.
two kinds
Yeah.
of leads I'm getting these days. They've watched video or they haven't, because, right, sometimes people haven't interacted with the
Mhm.
content. And I can
Mhm.
tell in the first 30 seconds of the call because they've listened to my voice so much. They often go, is this Jen? And I go, you got her. I'm sitting in Williamsport. Where the hell are you? Like, I'm a real girl.
Yeah.
I've been wanting you to call me, right?
Yeah.
And so they're excited. And at that point, I'm they're having to sell me. They're bought in. They've
Yeah.
already watched the videos about how to become a client and what they expect. And I'm really sifting through them and acting as a filter. The
Mhm.
other way, it's more traditional, right? I'm
Yeah.
doing a traditional discovery call, presenting our sales playbook, but then that first follow up video, video, and the video keeps coming. And listen, they had a conversation with a sales agent, a
Mhm.
BDM. I
Mhm.
am the broker, but they had that one conversation and now the video matures them. By the way, that first response, if they've never seen my face, they're getting a video, right? They're getting a video of me. Hi, so great to talk to you, Pablo. I'm jacked about the double on Market Street. I drive by it every time I go to Pilates, and you and I are going to meet there on Monday, and we're going to figure out how to make this thing make some money, man. Like that, I'm so jacked. How much better is that than like, thank you for the call today. You will find the. I still send all that boring stuff, but it has me. And so I'm a big fan of it. And I think it has changed the way my business runs and the confidence I have, like the quality of clients I'm signing, how long I'm keeping them, everything.
Yeah, that's what people miss in the business development piece. They think of video as leads, and man, maybe you nail the leads thing and you hit the lottery and the YouTube algorithm, whatever. But what I call pipeline velocity, right? Like, like as I built my business around like community creation for business development, really, and video is a big part of that, right? Like content's a big part of all of that. But it's just like the more familiar you are with somebody, the more you trust them, the more you trust someone. But when you're doing business with them, it means like deals close quicker, your average contract value is higher, right? Like there's just like this like velocity around all of it that really, really works. And video really supercharges that because of what I call the stage effect, right? Like
Wow.
when that hit me, that was one of the like core kind of like principles of everything I've built in the last 10 years, is when I realized that like I was on the panel with like two people like way above my level at one point in like a chamber of commerce thing in Miami. Came off the stage. There's a line of like five people deep waiting to talk to me, and I'm like, why are these people waiting to talk to me? And it's like because the brain justifies what it sees. When you're on, when someone's on a stage and you're in an audience, you're like, well, that person must be like more special than me. Like,
They
or
have something I want.
they
I'm
have
below
something I
them.
want.
I'm looking to them.
Correct, correct. And your phone screen, just like just like your mother said, don't believe everything you see on television. Now I got to tell my mom, don't believe every video you get on WhatsApp, right? Like, because the phone screen is that same stage, and it gives you that validation. So when you're, whether they're like checking you out, like they're like, oh, okay, well, I just took a call with them, or I Googled them, but now I want to see what they're about. And they just start to see videos of you and they spend time with it. Or like you said, they take a call and you deliberately deliver that video. That like screen effect is so real that it accelerates everything, right? Like if they're not into like your personality, they're not going to waste your time and you're going to get it real quick, right? Like equally, like what you are selling is a relationship with you. You're a long-term relationship business. So if like they're into it, they're going to want to like lean in on it, and it just accelerates everything. So
Yeah, we're talking a
yeah,
lot about retention in our business and we're
yeah,
trying to become asset managers, and that's great. And it's though beyond the skill and scope of some property managers. Doesn't mean that they're not good. What you could do alternatively, if you're not prepared to have those conversations and advise at quite that level, maybe you can share your experiences and you can build trust. So we're going to get leads off that trust. But because we're in a retention business, I need to continue building trust because I come in with a trust level and things are going to happen. I'm either going to gain or lose. And by the way, things are going to happen. We're going to mess up. I'm going to lose my client's trust, at least in part, at some point over this very long journey. But if I'm using video to communicate with them, I'm leveraging myself. I record one story of one focus of success and it goes out in the owner packets. And they interact with it. And I have a very concrete story about how this happened with a current client. So I had a client that I signed, a young man, a double house in very poor condition, lots of deferred maintenance, 2 Section 8 leases, but he wanted to have a property that was really one focus standard, more like BA class. He wanted to make that transition. So I made a plan with him that would transition it, that would allow us to, extend the tenancy as long as was practical. And then if they left, we were going to do the renovations. And the tenants left, and all of a sudden he wouldn't do the renovations. And I signed month-to-month lease contracts because if you are not willing to do what's needed, we'll just stop doing business. Like, no big deal. And so he had gotten the note that we were no longer going to work together because of his resistance to what he had originally agreed to. And maybe it was financial unpreparedness, whatever it was. And he had scheduled a call with me. And this was I thought he was going to be yelling at me saying, how dare you, blah, 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 blah. And he said, I was really upset. But last night I was watching your videos. And he watched a video that wasn't even related. And he said, I had an aha moment. I connected the dots, and you're right. And I'm sitting on the other end of the phone, I was prepared for this. This was a little bit of a charged situation. And I'm just sitting there on my ass, like this video I recorded got into this guy's brain, and he got on board with this. And I was just like, I love this. I love that when I'm at dinner tonight, people are watching the videos, no liking and trusting me. When I'm sleeping, when I'm meeting with a client, other clients are watching. And so the leverage in the whole video thing really started when I added my sister to the business and we picked apart our sales process. And I said, yeah, if I'm in front of you, you'll buy from me. If I want your property, I'll get it. Right? Like that's just how I lead with wild arrogance. That's my business strategy, but it is well formed and well justified. And she said, okay, how do we get you in front of more people? And we started more aggressively with the speaking. And that's when we said video, because we need to put this face cussing and swearing and acting up in front of more investors. Yep. And really that's been hugely valuable. And like this big goal I have of being a national thought leader, it really comes from the success I've had in this, and said, there's value here. I have to change what I'm doing to figure out how to do that, but I'm going to. And that's how I'm going to leave my legacy. I'm not going to build a 2,500 door company. I'm not. I don't want to. I don't want to own a 2,500 door company, but I would love to leave a legacy on this industry. I would love it if in the future, when a property manager met an investor, they're like, so what are you, Hold It, Dave Ramsey, Rich Dad, Poor Dad? What are you? What camp you in? That's what I would love one day.
Man, I love the idea of content as legacy. That is, to me, content, your intellectual property as legacy. is so underrated. And for someone like me that doesn't have kids and stuff like that, like I think about it often, right? Like,
Me too. I'm
yeah,
out here rocking no kids, just burning my money. I'm gonna have to put a wing on like a cancer center or something. Like, I'm really, I don't know what I'm building it for, and that's why I'm not super like I always say. I have all the Diet Coke I could want. Like
yeah,
I eat plenty. I have to eat less, so there isn't a lot of pressure on that. I don't need mansions.
yeah, yeah, yeah. All
I,
right,
I have
so
plenty.
you know what I like about that strategy from Jen is that if you see Jen right now, you just think, man, she's just out there doing super high level content, all this stuff. You'll learn a little bit later. She's not spending much on there, but we take for granted how hard it is to get started at something. And equally, we have this like propensity to think if you're doing something really, really advanced, that's how you started. And it's like that with AI and Vendoroo, right? I think a lot of folks think out there that we are, we're definitely the most advanced AI out there in property management right now. But what most folk don't realize is that getting started with Vendoroo is way easier than you think. In fact, it's kind of like onboarding like an A player, right? Like an A player teammate, in the sense that as you onboard them, right? Like if you hire an A player teammate, right? You just they show up day one, they've got a bunch of skill sets, they can do some of the stuff that you're asking them to do, but they're also smart enough to not do the stuff that they're not supposed to do. And they have enough experience to, when it comes to things that they're not sure of how they do, to give you suggestions on how to do it, right? So onboarding with Vendoroo is like that. The AI shows up day one ready to go, and it has these AI judges that understands when it's like, when there isn't a fully fledged procedure that it should follow, and it raises its hand and gives suggestions on that. So a lot of people think that they got to be like way more ready than they are because it's so advanced and this and that. But in reality, it's made to help you win on day one and continue to get better over time, like an A employee should do. So if you've been waiting to try Vendoroo because you think you're not ready, maybe you should rethink that, right? Like right now is the time to get going. Go to vendoroo.ai, give it a shot. Like just schedule a demo with the team, look at what it's capable of, ask about the onboarding process. I think you're going to be super impressed. Vendoroo.ai. So then before we go too far down that rabbit hole, I want to go back to another point in this story, right? Like, so we understand this, like, get some reps. The reps can come from these one-on-one videos. You can start, you start to have some success. Now you get to have like even more like leverage by not high production value, things that you need to answer often, like how-to things that like are FAQs for clients that that they're going to need to see, or renters, right? Like that,
Yep.
they're going to need to see. And then at some point you think, okay, now I'm going to go for it. I'm going to be a star. I'm going to really build a channel. You were kind of like in that decision-making process, or I don't know where you were when I met you at Broker Owner, but to me, it was clear that you were going to be taking this more seriously, and you should be taking it more seriously. And then
Mhm.
at some point at the beginning of this year, maybe end of last year, you started putting out what is obviously produced content, content
Yep.
like influencer style content.
I spent a little money this year.
That's what I was going to say. What's the team that you need to do that, right? Because like I'm a big believer of like lowest, like lowest minimal viable content, right? Like do it with your iPhone, do it with your stuff, right? But I know a lot of people then ask me like, how do I build a team for this? And it's clear that you've operationalized it. Talk to me about like
Yeah.
operationalizing your content operation. Clearly it started with your sister. How do we gain some more leverage? You
She was the idea. Yeah. So she's
she had
never
the
been part
idea.
of the production. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So like as far as equipment goes, I use my iPhone. That's it. I have never edited anything if it wasn't in my phone, and I don't really know how to do that. So my EA Lindsay, who's a Filipino remote team member,
Mm-hmm.
she has been with me 6 years. And if you see something edited, for the most part, she's done it. And her skills have grown with mine, but she's not a video editor. The videos we're making don't need a lot of edits. Like, I'm not making a TV show here. There's no quick edits, there's no action, there's no special effects. I'm just a girl talking about real estate. Like, it's not that big of a deal. The interesting part is I should be in properties more. That's what I should be doing more. Okay. So I would make it, she'd edit it, and we would just post it. And in the beginning, it was like, oh, I have nothing on my schedule today. So I'll make like 4 or 5 videos and get them into the queue, and she'll dole them out. And then, so when I met, here's the thing. For about 10 years, I've been telling people I'm going to be the Susie Orman of rental real estate. I really came out of grad school knowing there was a bigger vision for me. Listen, I told you on text, I'm a goddamn show pony. Like I've always been like a ham bone. I want attention. I love it. So I knew there was something. And when I said it to people, I go, I know I'm fully delusional. I know I'm a property manager in Nowheresville, Pennsylvania. And at the time I weighed 150 more pounds. Like, and it was still a thing I was shooting for in the distance. When I met you, I had lost some weight through a surgery. I felt more confident at my ability to kind of take that role and for my body to endure it. Like truly, when I was heavier, things like conferences and stuff were more challenging, and that solved that problem. And so I was getting more serious, but listen, I don't know one person who's an influencer. I don't know one person with over 10,000 Facebook followers. Like it was a big black box, and I just decided I wasn't going to spend money. So like, I think I met you in 23, like 23, 24. I was like, I'm going to do as much as I can without spending money. So if it was me, my iPhone and my assistant, I made it and I was doing great. At the end of 24, the decision I made was I'm taking all of the marketing money for One Focus, and it is now Hold It with PM Jen's budget. And Hold It's job is to eventually earn enough money to replace my salary. Speaking fees, affiliate marketing, whatever. I at the time I was like, I could do coaching, I could do consulting, all those things. And because I'm willing to take it slow, like Hold It's made like 10 grand this year, which is a drop in the bucket toward my salary, but that is a step in the right direction. And so we know that Hold It does business development for One Focus. That's great, double duty. And because we're comfortable in our size and we're not overly aggressive in our growth goals, we are comfortable with this and we keep doing it. So what does the team look like now? It is still just me and Lindsay. I have experimented with different production companies. So if you look on you'll see like 5 videos that have a certain look, and then you'll see another 5 that have another look. That's me experimenting, working with videographers, editors. And listen, there's all kinds of people out there, and I am not here to give advice. I learned the term YouTube manager a week ago, talking to a guy who wanted to charge me $130,000 a year to do this. Like, I am dancing in this world right now, but I am starting to talk to YouTube managers who would basically, I'd still create my content. Because I want my YouTube to grow. I have some big goals for it. They would be optimizing it. But it's really not much, guys. Like, I'm not paying editors. But I'm also not lighting the world on fire. So I'm doing fine for my business, but these big goals, I'm not making the progress I want. So I'm going to add a little firepower in 26, and we're going to double down on the LinkedIn and the YouTube. I think those are my platforms of choice. I've been dancing with like what platform's right for me. And now I've learned what it means when it's like, I enjoy it there. Like I enjoy it there.
Jen. This is so good because most people, from the outside looking in, I had a very similar journey as you, right? Like I started making content probably like I published my first podcast late 2019 because I wanted to put out like this like rapping storytelling thing, and I needed to have a container. So I did it as a podcast, right? And then I started figuring out, like, just like you, hired someone in the Philippines, $6 an hour, to just like, hey man, I'm going to record some stuff. You cut it up and make it cool, right? Like, and it really was just that. As time has gone on, I've built an agency and blah, blah, blah. And I have a team, and I'm like, removed from it. But when I'm very insecure when people are like, oh, how can I start doing this? And they're like, what do I need to do? And then they're like, they're thinking about hiring somebody that they're going to pay like $3,000, like an agency that they're going to pay $3,000 a month for. And that's too expensive, or even like $1,500 or $2,000 a month. And they're like, that's steep. I'm like, no, man, all you need is one VA. All you need is one VA to get started. $6 an hour. That person can do so many things, right? Like, yes, they can tinker with the video editing. They can get better over time. The tools that are out there today make it so that you don't have to be a video editor to know how to video edit, right? Like 5 years ago, I needed somebody that could use Premiere Cut Pro, right? Like today, it's like Descript and like CapCut and blah, 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 right? So it's like for a VA that can edit whatever videos you give them, also do like tasks for you, like reach out to people for you.
Oh, this person's my full EA. I mean,
Exactly.
This is very much just one of her duties.
Exactly.
And she didn't come to me with this. That's what I was going to say to you. It's even less of a burden than just getting a remote team member. This is the analogy I would make that I think maybe property managers could align with. We've all met that new investor who's very eager to get in, and they're asking a lot of questions, and they've been messing around, and they go, so what I don't understand is if I can only do 4 of these, how do I get my 5th deal? And you want to go, bro, do the first deal. And then I won't be able to stop you from doing the second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. I need you to get into the first one. And that's what I would say to property managers. You don't need to Google YouTube Manager. You need to make an account, post a video, and share it. Get it on your website, get it on your social. I mean, that's part of it. You don't just put to YouTube, but share it. And guys, if 12 people watch it, that is like you stood there and had that passionate conversation with 12 different people. That's an impact, man.
You would take that room in a heartbeat.
Do not get butthurt about low views. Those people want to see this. Your clients want to see your face. They're already paying you to work for them. They want to know what you have to say. It's very crucial. And so, yeah, that's the analogy I would make is like, we're talking, because yeah, you and I are operating at a level where we've been noticed for this, but you don't have to operate at this level to get tremendous leverage and value out of video.
Tremendous. And I want to go there in a second. Like I want to talk about the opportunity of it in the space. And then that's going to get us into like the female conversation also. But I want to just point out one thing really, really quick. The EA and super genius, just like taking flyers on camera person for 1 month and seeing what happens. Oh yeah, I literally just took a call with a guy yesterday and I'm like, yeah, he's like repurposing videos. I'm like, dude, I have a company that does this, but like, if you're telling me it's going to cost me $600 a month to see what I can do with Reza for a month, you know, right? Like let's make some videos about my founder and see how that like adds scale and what you're better than me at or whatever, right? Like taking little like experiments with creatives that like hit you up on like LinkedIn or hit you up on IG, or you meet at a networking event and be like, all right, yeah, just come with me to this thing, make some content. I'm going to give you $500, right? Like little tiny content bets is something that I don't hear people talking about a lot that can lead to other things. And yes, people are so obsessed with scale. They're like, well, how do I operationalize? It's like, dude, just go freaking make one video. Like, just go take a bet, right? Like, just get out there and take one swing and it'll lead to other things. And then you can figure out if you scale it, just like real estate. Go do one deal. So yeah, I love that.
And what's so great, it's like real estate. It compounds. That video I made 6 years ago, I might be 150 pounds heavier, but she's still working. She's still out there talking about why I need your social number and we're going to inspect the unit and whatever until I'm ready to re-record it. And I don't need to. I'm not a celebrity. I'm not Jane Pauley. I don't know why I always use Jane Pauley. What a dated reference.
I don't even know who that is.
But I'm not, nobody expects me to be. And that's the other thing I tell property managers. We think on screens because when we grew up, us old people, people on screens were polished. People on screens were rich. People on screens had that credibility that network executives had approved them. And we think, who the hell do I think I am to sit on here and act like this? Well, this is the democratization of information. This is the democratization of attention, and you're a part of it. And so, and by the way, nobody's confused that your Central Illinois property manager looks and sounds like a Central Illinois property manager. It's authentic. It's better. If you came off like Savannah Guthrie, more current reference maybe, if you came off that kind of polish, don't you think you would get less trust? I do. And I've actually gotten that feedback about my phone voice, that they think I'm fake because I'm pretty good on the phone. And they go, oh, you're a real person? Yes, I am. Yeah. And so, but the authenticness in this world of AI, speak of the devil, you know, in this world of AI, authenticity will lead. The bloops, the blunders, the real human reality will be so much more valuable. And the more reality and authenticity I'm able to produce, look at my newsletter. I don't know if you look at my newsletter, you probably get a lot of them.
I don't know how to read.
I've noticed that every newsletter looks and sounds and has the exact same bolding and the exact same structure. And mine, AI does help me write, but I start much more from a draft of my thoughts. It's pictures of me, it's thoughts, my jokes. And I'm counting on that to be more engaging and more impactful.
I love that. I'm pretty sure you don't look at my newsletter either, but like
I do.
Mine is very different too. It's all very long form. It's not just like whatever. Anyways,
it is very long. I'll give you that.
yeah. But you know what, man? I get emails back from like
people are reading it.
Somebody reacting to something I said in the second to last paragraph. I'm like, I got you, bitch. Right. So, all right. So let's talk about. I just want to say this because we can then make a short form video about this. But to your point, the world of AI is making the humanity of it much more important, right? Like I think everybody is getting so lost in the sauce of like AI is coming. Now I can like be like completely away from everything, but you're really, really wrong about that. Like you're only going to win if you're going to use AI and go all in on the humanity of it all, because everything else is going to be commoditized. So that makes the need for doing video much more important. And oh, by the way, AI makes it easier for you to also do videos. Now, I also want to talk about another opportunity. In the world of property management, there just isn't that many people doing it at the level that you're doing it, not even close. And
I'm not even doing that much.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, right? Like you just described something that's really not that much, and you're everywhere, and everybody knows you, and you're already getting stages, and like the ability to like be known as an expert in this industry relatively quickly is right there for you, and that is another kind of like another social validation. Videos of you on stage at NARPM Nationals, like anybody listening to this podcast right now that has not been known at all in the NARPM circles, you start doing this, and by the next NARPM Nationals, you can get a talk on stage. Like it's not that hard.
And let's connect that to why do I want to talk on NARPM stage? Now I have a very clear connection. I'm trying to build a speaker career and all of that. But why should a Central Illinois property manager, if they ever appear on a stage, they're like, I'm here to attend. I want to party. Through video, raising my profile in this industry has given me so much, my business so much, resources, connections, opportunities. I can't tell you. And so when I started volunteering at a national level, and because I was playing with video, they'd be like, I've seen you do a video, Jen. Will you do a video for Women's Council, Finance Committee, whatever we need? And I'm always like, shit, yeah, what do you want me to say? And they would get it 5 minutes later. Like, I'm always like, you're going to love me because you're going to get a video right away. I'm going to churn it, burn it, flip it, and zip it. Like, I am not going to wait 5 days until I've like put on the perfect makeup look. You're getting a video now. And they love that because that's the hard part, right? Is getting the video. They're waiting, begging. So when I started doing that, all of a sudden people like Pablo, I was an excited girl who met you at a conference. But once you had laid eyes on me, and I'd probably made sure I was in your feed a little bit after that, I was liking, talking, whatever. It's a strategy I have. I made sure I was in front of you, and then there was stuff there. And then when you had an opportunity that I wanted to take advantage of, I did. You did that content mastermind this year. And I got to tell you, I wasn't a nobody coming to you. I wasn't even that overeager girl who met you 18 months before. I was somebody you had seen on video, had interacted with, and listen, the opportunities are countless that have come to me through NARPM and through my video work. Covers of magazines, free consulting, beta testing new programs and softwares, like income opportunities, speaking, content partnerships. Like I mentioned, there was 10 grand made in this. Like there's some money to be made. And so, yeah, I really want people to, how do I want to put this? How would you summarize that, Pablo?
Man, I summarize it as you just took it to a whole new place. For me, my summary was just like when you are competing with a property manager down the street and your potential client sees either a picture of you where you're like speaking in front of an audience or a video of you speaking in front of an audience, you immediately differentiate yourself. You've taken it to a whole nother level in the sense of like, I didn't even think about the fact that like, if I was like a startup in this industry with like a good tool, I'd want Jen talking about it. So I'm like motivated to give you a discount on it or give you free hookups or whatever that make your business like better and give you even more authority and all
my
these
negotiations leverage with vendors, now that I have a platform and a reputation for saying anything as long as it's true. So if I sign up with Vendoroo, right, better treat me right, better not mess me around, because girl has a reputation for saying the truth. You'll never get me on slander, but I will tell the truth. And that I'll tell you, I have had negotiations with vendors that have been to the degree of maybe $50,000 in my favor. No, and I never had to make an overt threat. I never said, do you know who I am and what I could do? It was understood. They knew who I am because I'm out there. And I never I wouldn't threaten. I wouldn't. And it wasn't that kind of a situation, but I did get a very good arrangement from that as a result. And so, yeah, it's really hard to look on the bottom line. But when I look at that one $50,000 thing, that one $50,000 consequence, have I not been rewarded for video?
I mean, I was just gonna say, like, you can add that to that $10,000 of like profit from the PM Gen efforts, right? Like that is, that type of leverage and those types of access to those opportunities, the credibility, all this other stuff, to me adds on top of that like $10,000 speaking fees that you've gotten, right? Like,
Mhm.
so to me, that's a really big opportunity, and more importantly, it's just like we are in an industry where the ramp up period from unknown to on stage is as short as you're going to find in any other industry, because you can do it. Like I remember when I was kind of getting started with this, I saw Tiffany Rosenbaum starting to put out like content, and I asked Jordan Muella, I'm like, who she's like, well, she's just kind of like showing up on the scene, but I guarantee you she's going to be a big deal because she's just following the formula. Everybody that follows this formula is going to get there, right? Like you're there, and it happened pretty quickly. Let's talk about that from a female perspective, right? Like I
Mm.
also think that there's way more dudes putting out content in this industry than females. There's way more dudes putting out content in real estate than women. Like let's go down that path of like real estate needs more women that we are
Yeah.
talking about, and what from a female perspective, what is nuanced to this conversation that we haven't talked about when it comes to making this content and getting out there and getting more credibility?
Okay. So the first, when you said nuanced, I actually had a thought first about just from the perspective of my audience, a woman in real estate investment, my
Mhm.
audience. It's lonely. Imagine I'm a dental hygienist who knows Hold It with PM Jen. I've listened to her podcast. I go, goodness, man, this girl's really speaking my language. So I'm going to go start looking for other creators. And she's meeting all these men who talk about things from a male perspective, with
Mhm.
their male life experience and with their male risk tolerance.
Mhm.
And I think it's very lonely. I think it can be alienating. So the woman watching doesn't identify with it, trust it as much. And she experiences less empowerment, less education because of that lack of alignment.
Mhm.
And it's nobody's fault. The man's not at fault, the woman's not at fault. But when we don't have representation, we are closing doors to people. So that diversity is very, very important. To your question of what have I found that like in this creation journey as being a woman,
Real
well,
quick, can I just
yeah,
validate the representation thing? The average white guy I talk to just doesn't get it. Right?
because
Like,
they've had representation
because they've
forever,
had
Pablo.
representation. For me, the when it landed on me, it landed on me pretty recently.
It's okay.
I'd say like 2019, I was listening to a Brene Brown audiobook. And because it was being narrated by a woman, and because the examples were about her winning in like cheerleading, I was like, this doesn't apply to me. Like it took me work to like absorb the lessons from Brene Brown, who's freaking brilliant and is like one of the people that I most study these days, right? Like you had to
Yeah.
really get over that because I wasn't represented in it. And I think like as guys, we take for granted that every example is of like a dude, and like you're being spoken to by a dude. So I just wanted to validate that from that perspective, because I just think it gets so lost. Right now, there's this guy Marcelo Hernandez on Saturday Night Live.
Oh,
Holy
yes, I
I'm like,
love him
holy cow, a guy just
because
like
he's
me from
Cuban.
the streets, right? Like like a Cuban kid. Like that guy went to the high school that that my sister teaches at. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like, oh, dude, this is exactly what me and Jose Garrido were like growing up. Like so
And I'd
so
say the same about seeing a chunky white girl on SNL. I felt seen.
yeah,
I felt like I was part of it
yeah,
too. And
yeah,
so yes, representation is so important. And because it's mostly white men at the helm of this,
yeah.
still we don't have enough diversity in the industry, at
Mhm.
least at the owner operator level, at the
Yep.
broker owner level. Believe me, women
Yep.
are doing the work of real estate. It it is a vacuum chamber
Hmm.
of messaging.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
all the data comes from that. I just had a meeting with a YouTube manager. He's like, the most successful channels are doing this. You need to do this. I said, those are led by men.
Those are all a bunch of dudes.
And I take your advice, but I'm not going to
Yeah.
go whole hog and copy them.
Yeah.
But here's what women especially need to hear. So you're like, what's your experience like as a content
Yeah.
creator?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's easier than it probably would be for a white man. I
Hmm.
don't got competition, baby.
Yeah.
There
You got the
aren't other
vacuum.
6 foot tall, sassafras bitches out there cussing and screaming about realtors. And
Yeah.
like, it's okay. I don't need to have a massive audience. I need to present something that some people align with because I
Hmm.
don't need to be for every woman.
Yeah.
I need to be for the women who are going to register with me and intuitively align with me and my values. And so what I'd say to women is submit that speaker thing for the NARPM conference. Submit yourself to podcasts. Make your own because when it comes to getting selected, they need diversity. They're getting criticism.
Yes.
My sister just submitted for broker owner, and I said, you've got a crackerjack presentation, you've got tremendous experience.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when
Your
they
sister just submitted to
yeah, she
broker
just
owner. Go.
submitted. It's great. I said, but here's the thing. You're great at speaking. You have a great presentation, but beyond all that, at the end, they're going to count up how many. And all we're doing NARPM so far. I don't know if we're trying to go for racial diversity. It doesn't look like it, but we are attempting to do gender diversity on this speaker circuit, and they are working really hard on that. And so if you're a woman trying to come up in this, it's easier. Now, if you're a 45-year-old white dude, you need a different a different gimmick. You need to have a thing really well, and listen, there's a lot of opportunity for property managers to talk about the reality of this. We have real stories. This one guy was like, you have so much expertise in your niche. Your stories are gold. Everybody else who's in this doesn't even have that expertise. They've just interviewed everybody. They just have one of those like interview a day podcasts or something, and it kind of grows. We've got gold in these companies, gold. Every day something's happening you could make a video about that builds know, like, and trust.
Yeah. Representation is both the challenge and the opportunity, right? Like that's kind of like the opportunity here, right? Like that's where I wanted to get to. It's just like, we need more female voices because there's a giant vacuum in it. Like less even, right? Like representation in the broker owner level is, from my perspective, at least I feel like I've met a bunch of like woman broker owners, but there's really two female content creators in property management. It's you and Tiffany, right?
No, and Sarah Hatch. She's just living on TikTok. Yep.
Okay, cool.
And Tiffany
I'm just
Eisenhower's coming up. There's a couple people trying.
Yeah.
I love it. I love
awesome.
that Sarah, she does this take on being like a mom and her Mormon faith and her the role in DC. I love that. However, how many other Mormon moms managing properties in DC are there?
Yeah.
I love that. And there's just so much room out there to talk about the things we want to talk about.
Yeah. Lisa Wise, that's somebody that we didn't mention, right? Like
I love Lisa.
Has a book, like does her own like spin on stuff on LinkedIn. She's very genuinely just like talking about things, brilliant, different kind of business, really, really smart.
Fearless. Sharing a strong point of view. Fearlessly. She's in DC sharing an unpopular opinion right now. I admire her. She's very strong.
I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
What else, Jen? Anything else that we haven't brought up that we wanted to?
Okay, let's build a show for our industry. Let's elevate our industry. Here's what I'm thinking. There's two different shows I'd like to make. So if people are listening to this, I want you to reach out and tell me how to do this because I've just watched shows. So we have a problem in property management. Property managers suck. Who would pay them their money to just do it ourselves? I need to do it myself. They all suck. And they're not always wrong, but there are good ones out there. And how do we raise the industry so that in 10 years, this industry is providing better service to our clients and tenants, and we drive out those who might be dragging us down? I think a reality show about the industry, and not this is what an eviction looks like. This is what I picture. I picture getting to know a team or a set of teams, maybe across the country, who are solving the everyday problems. Oh, we went into a unit and there's 300,000 cockroaches in tubs because they're raising to feed them to bearded dragons. Or the tenant just committed suicide in a unit. Or there's a dead dog and we have an hour to get rid of it out of the yard. Like the things that come up that create it. But here's the thing. We need to show people that property management's a real job. We are making these assets work. Tenants, you shouldn't be hating us. We are actually out there advocating and protecting you most of the time. And clients, we are not a cost center. We are raising the value of your properties. But without showing them, why would they ever know? Because this is the business that nobody thinks is a business. You cash checks and call the plumber once in a while. What else could you be doing? What does it take 15 people to run 600 doors for? And so I love that idea. There was a show in the mid-aughts called Airport. A&E did it. It was about Southwest. And that's a real inspiration for me around getting to know some people and their personalities, the different roles and jobs that exist and the problems that they're solving. I really liked that. I also love, so this is something I do with my clients, is I stabilize properties. So you come to me with your 4-unit, I go, let me see what it's about. And then I write a plan to increase its value, optimize it. And then hopefully you hire me and I get to run it like that. I would kind of do like a bar rescue show. Like you come to me with your portfolio. You're like, Jen, I've had a bad property manager, or I just had an illness. Things are bad. I need this. And I would re-strategize it. And I just keep thinking like, this isn't a thing where I have to get like TLC or A&E to do this. I have to
No,
get a camera
I already
crew and
know who
start
I would
putting
get
it
to
on
do this.
YouTube.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This is camera crew,
Yeah.
YouTube. I need like $40,000. Like it's not that expensive.
That's not that expensive. Yeah. So
Yeah.
as you're talking about this, two things. One, Ryan Serhant, man, like he's on Netflix now with like, it was like Selling Manhattan. Now it's like whatever Manhattan, and that, like that format of like legitimizing an industry or legitimizing a brokerage through a
Mm-hmm.
reality show is really, really real. Like all these like Netflix, all these sports leagues have done it, right? Like F1 was the test case, right? Like Drive to Survive was this like show that caught fire on Netflix, and that's why F1 is the fastest growing sport in America right now. That's real.
Wow.
Uh,
That's news to me. I didn't know any of those
that's
things.
that's very rare. Well, like in mid Pennsylvania, I don't think you get all this fancy F1 talk. But that was just a dig. That being said, yes, I forgot that you and I have had this conversation. Like, who is the technology vendor that's going to go out there and make like the reality TV show about property management that funds this thing and makes this like their big thing? And you have just like reinvigorated me on going and making that happen. I think like we said,
Yeah.
like I could see it happen, right? Like anyways, we're going to talk as soon as I click
Yeah.
off of it.
Or by the way, our trade association.
That's what I was
Like
about to say. And NARPM should foot part of this bill, right? Like
I
100%.
think there's no better thing NARPM could spend, and now I'm going to ask for
Yeah.
$100,000
Yeah.
on that than elevating our industry
Yeah.
and showing people, like, by the way, building tremendous value in NARPM, building
Hmm.
tremendous value in our industry.
Yeah.
And, I love it. And I would invest in that. If I was a
Yeah.
property manager who's like, that's
Yeah.
not for me, I'm not balls out like that, but it will be good for me in my town when that show is out there and being
Yeah.
watched. I
100%.
know people, it'll raise my boat.
And I think that to me is a really smart thing by a vendor or by NARPM to do it for like 4 or 5 property managers and make their reality show about it. I think for a property manager at your scale, right? Like or bigger that is there, doing your own one would be really, really interesting. Like
Mhm.
I wonder, it's kind of like it's the same cost prop for someone like us, for someone like Vendoroo to like foot the bill on this. There's always going to be the kind of like, all right, how do we draw a direct line to revenue kind of thing for you if you were building a reality show about it in your own market. It's kind of like, it makes more sense for you as a personal brand of what you're going to end up being able to do than it does for your property management company. And it has to kind of like feed those things, and you got to figure out like your value props of like all the things you're going to get, right? Like you would, if you were to do it, you could then piece this out and say, yo, Vendoroo, will you be a sponsor for 5? And then get like maybe like six different, like people to do it. And now we're at 30K. Now you're only footing 10, which you just made up in speaker fees, right? So
Yeah.
like I think it's doable for someone like you in a single market, just like I think it's
And
doable for us at like a national scale.
so for everybody listening, like this is a thing. By the end of 2026, I want to have some version, even if this is
I
me
want
on
to do
my
it.
phone and sending it to
Yeah.
an editor to edit together.
Yeah.
It'll be something. I don't know. Like I really want to I love the F around and find out. I love it.
Yeah,
I
me
call it
too.
throwing spaghetti at the wall. Like who cares?
Yeah.
So I put out a video where I'm going, "Duh," like it doesn't matter. Like
Yeah.
nothing matters.
Yeah.
And I want to do that. And I love that idea, but I think I'm going to just throw it out there and see what kind of attention I attract. And I'm big
Yeah.
on intuition. When I
Yeah.
meet people who share my values,
Yeah.
great. When I don't, I go, get out of my world.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't want you. And so I'm
Mhm.
just going to trust my intuition to lead me to people. That's part of why I've been test driving these producers, these videographers.
Yeah.
I will find the one that works with me perfectly,
Yeah.
we just vibe. And then I'm going to lock that person down. They are going to be my buddy and they're going to go on this journey with me at least to a certain point. So if I find them locally, they're probably not on the whole journey with me. But maybe, what's her name, out of Atlanta? She wears the stars. She's a realtor, and
Okay.
she kind of came up through COVID. She's got a beautiful Southern accent. She sells
Mhm.
luxury homes, and she met this guy Dustin who
Mhm.
started making social videos with her, and
Mhm.
she's on the realtor.com stages and all of that. And
Yeah.
it's just this partnership
Yeah.
and the consistency.
Yeah. Jen, I want to be that person so bad with you. Like I feel like
Get your
doing
checkbook
this
out,
show. I
Pablo.
think we should got to figure. I think you just invigorated me.
Get Reza's checkbook out.
So just real talk, right? Like I'm at a point where I had a phenomenally successful 2025, right? Like this has been the most successful year of my career from like every standpoint. Vendoroo has had a phenomenally successful 2025. And as I look at my role inside of Vendoroo, I feel like however Jack Black and Kyle Gass must have felt after their first Tenacious D album, where it's like they've been thinking their whole life about making like the most epic comedy rock album of all time. And now you're like, how do you make a second album when you've been thinking your whole life how to put all of this together, right? Like I feel like I just made a platinum record based on like all the things that I have thought about my whole life of like how to do business development at the grandest scale. And I'm honestly, I wouldn't call it lost, but I'm right now in a moment where I'm just like, what got me here isn't what's going to get me there. I'm really struggling with like, what does 2026 look like for me? Because you can see all the things I did, and you can say, well, Pablo, events were super successful for us, so why don't you do 26 events next year? I'm like, no, they were successful for us because of the way I did it and a certain kind of like things and blah 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 blah. So I'm just really in this headspace of like, what does 2026 look like for doing what I'm doing in this industry at a higher level. And an idea like this is something that I'm going to take very, very seriously because it makes sense.
And and here's the thing, like I've been in these points, I'm at various degrees of those points. Be okay with choosing something and then unchoosing it. I started this year with a vision of what kind of platforms I'd be on. And by the end of the year, I feel like, I've wasted some attention on those platforms. I really belong here. All I can do is course correct, and maybe I'll give you a prescription. Maybe you re-listen to that album. This is not the greatest song in the world. This is just a tribute. I love that. I know every word to that album. So go listen to it with a beer and and just meditate on it. And you know, you're moving toward energies, and you know what's out there. You know the landscape. And if you're lost right now, be lost.
Yeah.
Gather information, and the path will appear.
Yeah.
The path will appear. Have all the trust that you're driving a supercharged vehicle here. You're going to get to a really cool destination, and you're going to have a blast getting there. That's the thing. Like I tell like this big vision I have where I am going to have publicists and all, if I'm successful, all those things will happen. If you said, Jen, give me this check and I'll make that happen for you by June, I'd say, no, thank you. No, thank you. Because that's fake and that's not real. And I am not prepared for it. I'm not prepared to be famous today. I'm not. I'm not prepared to appear on Bigger Pockets podcast today. I actually am, but I could do better.
Listen to Bigger Pockets.
I'm not prepared to maybe speak on the Bigger Pockets main stage yet. I've got some development to do, some more reps, some more experience. And so I'm trying to enjoy the journey. Yeah. I'm trying to enjoy this part where I get to put stuff out. And if it sucks or it's weird, I don't get a bunch of hate comments. It just doesn't go anywhere. Like, this is a really cool place to be. And I'm a little nervous that when I experience the next steps, then I might not enjoy it. And I tell my friends and family, I go, if this starts to get bad, this unique vision I have for myself and for by ipso facto, all of us, we're going to bail. We're going to bail. And that's okay, because we have the property management company and the properties. I don't need this. I don't need to be famous for any reason. I want to leave this legacy. So we'll see. But I'm trying to enjoy today. And I'd say the same to you. Take a little victory lap, man. And there's so much energy around you, so many cool people.
I appreciate it. Listen, back to the person that's hanging out with us and been listening to us ranting and raving for an hour. I think what you have I think it's very easy to see PM Jen and to see me and be like, these people have a personality for content. But what I think that this podcast has really illustrated is the mindset around content. Like what you just went on a rant about there is a perfect microcosm of being able to like not take the content project so seriously. Like everything that you have talked about throughout this has been incremental testing and tinkering, using content as leverage, using, like knowing that like it compounds, and being okay with how Gary Vee puts it, like having 17 balls in the air and having 7 crash down and knowing that those 10 balls are awesome. Like to me, that's the mindset around the content experience. And I also honestly think like that's also the kind of the mindset around entrepreneurship too, right? Like we've done this before. We have been here before as entrepreneurs, like this, like beginner mindset, small, ping pong to cannonballs experiments, knowing that like it's a long game and all this type of stuff. And I hope that the person that's been hanging out with us for the last hour takes that away. It's just like, give yourself license to know that your first piece of content's gonna suck and you're gonna do a bunch of it, but you can do it in these like small kind of like test things. But like the reality is just like give yourself permission to like not know what you're doing and be yourself, and it leads to really, really good things. And I love this episode. This was awesome.
It really does. And we only talked about AI once.
Yes, we did.
Remember when you texted me and you said about coming on the show and you go, "Why haven't I had you on that show yet?" And I said, "Yeah, because you just have dull nerds on there and I'm a goddamn show pony." I am not a good candidate for the AI podcast. There was words I don't know, and but I'm learning. I'm learning
Well,
via you, and I feel more confident about this technological transition than others because you've been educating me and I'm on the journey and we'll be there. We're using various things and we will use more, like all of us.
thank you, my friend. I
Oh,
appreciate that.
Pablo, what a great time to spend with you here on a
This was
Friday.
cool.
That's
Yeah,
great.
this was cool. I'm super energized. More than anything, like, man, when I met you, when I met you, I was about to take the stage in like the biggest speaking moment of my life. And the energy that you brought to me by like being like, oh my God, I watched you at GC on the Not Your Average Investor show and all that stuff, man.
We watched
It,
that
it
stuff.
just really, it filled me up in a way, and it gave me like a certain level of confidence and kind of like this like big vulnerable moment that I was stepping into. I didn't know anything. I knew very little. I know more. I now realize I knew more than I thought about the PM industry because of being in the guts of JWB, but I felt like a total imposter in that room. And you gave me this like level of
Oh,
validation. And then even more, like seeing you act on a lot of the stuff that you said that we kind of discussed, that like, and seeing you grow has been really, really awesome. And I'm just super pumped that we've gotten to be friends.
oh.
And thanks for doing the show, buddy.
Thanks for being my bud.